And joining us now, because we've talked a lot on the show about the teachers' strikes that swept the country last spring, and joining us now is one of the participants in that strike. In fact, the strike that, if I recall correctly, started it all. Rebecca Diamond is a second grade teacher in West Virginia, and she experienced the West Virginia strike. So first of all, Rebecca, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Secondly, before we get into the strike, you teach second grade, and I was saying before we went on the air, I think that's a great age.
Yeah, it really is a great age. I mean, like I said, they think they know it all, but then they realize, gosh, I really didn't know it all.
Yeah, well, except some people who never figure that out,
right.
But that's, yeah.
But they love school still. At the age of second grade, they still like school.
And where in West Virginia do you teach?
I am in Wayne County, so I'm in Huntington, but it's the Wayne County part of Huntington.
Oh, all right.
Kellogg Elementary.
So, okay. So now you were part of the West Virginia Teachers Strike. How did that happen in your experience? How did that come about? You know, I feel as if somehow so many of us go through our lives thinking this ought to be different, that ought to be different.
Yeah.
But how did it actually turn into an action like that?
Well, we started discussing things that were not correct, you know, things that were not right with how our teachers were being treated, and we were had been given an option to do something different with our insurance. They were going to force us to do a new program that was going to penalize us if we didn't get so many points, and they were going to raise our deductibles and premiums. So we started looking at that and wondering, why have they continued to make our deductibles and premiums go up every single year? And we decided that
let me just interrupt you for a second, because I do know that deductibles and premiums have been going up really fast for everybody, and especially for teachers. But what were the points? I think I remember, but this is an issue too. How did you, if you didn't get enough points, you said, then you would pay even more,
yes,
right?
Your deductible or premium, either one, was going to go up. It could have gone up anywhere from $250 to $500, just depending on the level that you were currently paying into the healthcare system, whatever plan you were on.
And what were the points you had to get to keep your costs
down? It was
down?
over the first time they were going to give us an initial try, and it was over 6 months. That I think it was 6 months that we had to get 3,000 points, and then they were going to reward us with Fitbits, and they were going to reward us.
How do you get the points?
Through, well, you had to have you had to record your actions onto the computer. So they suggested having a Fitbit, or they suggested having some sort of smartwatch or smartphone to record your food that you ate, your cholesterol readings, your sugar readings for the day. And a lot of people just don't do that.
Right.
And then
and
your
it's
doctor
kind
visits,
of an intrusion on your privacy too, the way I see it.
That's the way we felt like it was. So we decided, you know, enough is enough. And then, you know, we started getting together as communities, and each community got together, and we all started discussing with all the other teachers, you know, this is what's going on. We got with our union and said, what can we do about it? What are we going to do about this? And we found out that PEIA actually had no funding source, that we had no money coming into PEIA other than what we were currently putting into it.
And for folks that don't know, what's PEIA?
Our insurance, Public Employees Insurance Agency. So it included not only teachers, but all state employees in the state of West Virginia were all affected by this insurance. And this was our only option for insurance. I mean, unless we went with some sort of private insurance, which may have been a lot more for us.
Sure.
So we decided, you know, over a course of from November to January, you know, that we had to do something about it, that we were going to have to change the way they were treating us with our PEIA. So it got to the point where finally they said, okay, we're going to take away the Go 365. You're still going to have to submit your healthy pathways. Whoever was your prime
physician?
No, whoever carried your insurance had to go to their physician and have a physical exam, and then those results were sent to PEIA, and then, you know, you were billed accordingly to what your health was. It just wasn't tracked every single day, I guess you could say. So they did away with that. And, I mean, if you know the governor of West Virginia, I'd like to see him track his fitness plan and see if he could follow PEIA. So then, you know, as a whole, we got together and decided that, you know, we hadn't had a raise in so many years. We've been 48th in the nation since 2006, and so by February 17th, that's when a statewide action was called by our union leaders. We got together and we decided as teachers that we would allow our unions to decide just exactly when that time was going to come. We had to wait until a legislature was in session, and then we also had to wait closer to the end of the session so that they realized that, you know, we weren't out too long. And then we got penalized because, you know, they thought, oh, we're not taking care of the kids, and it
well,
was
let's
rough.
talk about the kids for a second. So you guys went out on this action, on this strike, but didn't you also have some demands for the children as well? Were there some of that in terms of funding for the schools?
Oh,
and
yeah,
so on?
yeah, because our schools are being underfunded, and then we weren't getting, we call it a Step 7, which was an allotment of supplies for each year. We weren't getting those. And then they wanted to lower the requirements for teachers in each classroom when West Virginia is already over 700 teachers short in the whole state. And then, you know, we thought that's not fair to the kids of West Virginia for them to be serviced by somebody who had a 4-year degree, but somebody who didn't have a teaching degree.
Sure.
So that was a big issue too.
It's also a way of undermining the profession of teaching, isn't it?
Right, right. To say, well, anybody can do it. That's what a lot of people think. Anybody can do it. So we'll just bring in anybody that has a 4-year degree. So that was sort of a dagger to, you know, the heart whenever you think, okay, I went to school to be a teacher, and now you're going to say just anybody can be a teacher. It didn't fly well with us.
And again, we're talking to Rebecca Diamond, who is one of the striking teachers in West Virginia. So this happened, and you guys went out on strike. And one of the things that struck me is, you know, people outside of West Virginia, or outside of the South, think of West Virginia as, you know, kind of a conservative state, right? Trump country and all that.
Yeah.
And so some people might think, well, if the teachers go out on strike like this, that you would get hostility from the public. But it wasn't my impression that you got hostility from. What was the reception like?
In the beginning, it was a little, they were a little leery about what we were doing. They were a little, they didn't know what was going on, but we informed them and we let them know, and they saw that even while we were taking our work action, that we still fed the kids and we still worried about our kids. And you know, they saw us out picketing, they saw us out showing our support for, you know, what we actually thought teachers deserved. And you know, they eventually came around to where they believed that, you know, this is what they deserve. They're teaching our children, so we didn't get. Now there was, don't get me wrong, there were still some. Sure. There were still some negativity towards us, for sure. We'd get the occasional, you know, flip off or cursed at while we were picketing.
So, but what was it like for you, like in your home life, family, friends, neighbors?
Well,
whatever?
My husband is a teacher as well. So for us, you know, being on strike was very scary to think that we weren't going to get paid during the strike, and then how long were we going to be on strike? Sure. How was this going to affect the fact that I have 2 children that go to school. They're both in high school, but how was that going to affect their school year if we were out for too long? And then, of course, I worried about my own children in my own classroom, because I know some of them, they need me every day. They need to see me every day. So, you know, it took a toll on all of us, for sure. I mean, it was ups and downs emotions, definitely. When you went to the Capitol, it was like, you know, you're pure adrenaline flying, and then you come home and you're like, gosh, did I accomplish anything today? Are we going to be able to get through this? What's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah, and then what about the absolutely, I completely understand. What about the reception? I mean, I don't know if you go to church or, you know, when you go shopping or on the street or whatever, where if people knew you were a teacher and all that? Oh,
they were very supportive. You know, I did, you know, a couple of things with my union and a couple of things, you know, to promote the teacher, you know, like what we were doing so that people knew. And, you know, there were open arms. I mean, definitely, you know, just people just stopping to talk to want to know what was going on. They're like, listen, I really don't know what's going on, but if you'll just tell me some things that maybe I need to know, and or they just stop and say, what can I do to help? What could I do to make your day tomorrow a little bit better than it was today? Or is there anything I can do to help make this easier for you? So it really was a good reception from our community. It was great.
Well, that's really nice. Now you guys, okay, so you settled it, and you got some concessions for yourselves and some of the other state workers as well, which
I
is
thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, because they couldn't go on strike themselves. I mean, it was illegal for us to go on strike too, but they basically, you know,
the corrections officers, right? They can't go on strike. Didn't they get something out of this? And,
yes.
Yeah.
Every state worker did.
Yeah. And so what happens next? Anything?
Well, we're waiting on our insurance. They formed a committee, a task force to try to fix what's going on with it. And they really need to find a funding source. So they went around to communities and they asked questions. They gave questions to this committee, and the committee took it back to the task force, and then they're supposed to be discussing ways that they can make PEIA better, because it used to be great. I mean, our healthcare used to be great. I mean, the whole country's used to be great.
Right. Well, better, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it used to be a whole lot better than it is now. So if they're supposed to decide something by November before the election to decide what's going to happen. So if it doesn't fix it, we could very well go back on strike again.
Okay. Well, we will be watching from where we are in Washington, D.C., not too far from you.
Right.
And so thanks for your good work on this. Thanks for teaching our young people, Rebecca Diamond.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.